Donna Summer, I Feel Love on Radio London. Shay here with you till 6 p.m. It's 2:19. You see a lot of these posts, don't you, on social media? New year, new you, new us. And for some people that really works, but for others it can feel really daunting. So what I'm hoping is I'm back with you throughout the year. It's my first show of 2026. Is to kind of discuss it in a perspective that I, in recent years, have started to look at January as. I don't just look at the 1st of January. I try to take the month of January as like an opportunity to look at fresh goals, resetting areas that I want to focus on. And I feel that works for me. And I'd really like to know what works for you. 0800 731 2000. It could well be losing weight, cutting down on alcohol, perhaps you're moving home, you're thinking of a big career change. It can really feel overwhelming, I would say, and especially on the 5th of January because it's back to school, it's back to work for many Londoners. So I feel like this is the right time for us to have this conversation. And I'm so delighted to say I'm joined in the studio now with life coach Olivia Vaughan. You can get more details for her on oliviavaughancoaching.co.uk. She's also on LinkedIn as well. A happy new year, Olivia.
Thank you. Happy new year to you too. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I think a lot of our listeners are going to be like taking notes because it's really daunting trying to figure out what you want to do, you know, for the 1st of January. And now we're in the 5th of January. So I think a lot of people who have decided their resolutions will be on that journey. But then there are other people like me who are just kind of focused on life in general, looking at fresh goals. I know we're going to delve into career, you know, as part of that conversation. But what's your perspective? Because off air you said to me, for a lot of us, we have decision paralysis. I think that's pretty much where I'm at for the month of January, and you're only 5 days in. Give us an understanding around what that means.
So decision paralysis is whereby you are in a state where you don't really know what to do next. It can vary. There's, you know, a large spectrum of that. But essentially it's where you just don't know what next moves you want to make. You know something has to shift, you know something has to move. Often it's your nervous system that's kind of deregulated, but and it's, you know, it's due to external pressures, it's due to your responsibilities, your work, your goals, everything comes together and you feel frozen. Essentially you're in a kind of fight or flight mode. And it sounds dramatic, but it can happen in so many degrees. You know, it can be just as much as, you know, picking up that new resolution, as you said, to changing jobs, to transitioning careers, to, you know, moving homes or moving countries, anything really.
It's quite, I mean, I think that's a perfect way to sum up what I think a lot of us will be feeling. Because, look, and she's probably listening, I've got this best mate, okay? And the month of December, she's on it with presents, parties, dinners, getting everything together. And by 1st of January, she already knows what her New Year's resolution is. Okay. And I've always kind of said to her that it's too overwhelming for me because in my head, I'm so exhausted from the month of December to then start in January and to know what I want for the whole year and what my resolution is going to be. That's why I believe I've always fallen flat on my face because it's just too much. I quite like what you're saying here, that actually for many of us, we fall under this kind of parameter of decision paralysis. What do you recommend one should be doing in their life? You're a life coach. There's a lot of pressures. It's the 5th of January. People today are going to be getting back into what I would say is their standard routine, whether it's back to work, back to school. You know, a lot of offices are back at it from today. So what would you want to kind of recommend?
I would definitely say to start off with, remove the pressure, because this 1st of January pressure is huge and it really is just kind of more of nearly a marketing thing, because what's to say you can't start something on the 15th of January or the 1st of February, you know, any date doesn't matter. So remove the pressure, because then you'll feel ready in your own time frame and in the flow whenever that suits you. I'd say also start small. You need to, like you mentioned, the overwhelm is too much. If you start looking at your life and saying, right, I'm going to do a whole overhaul, it's too overwhelming.
It's too much.
You will give up. We can't sustain those kind of changes. Yeah. So I certainly would say, once you've, you know, taken that pressure, whether you decide to start this week or the next week or Feb, you know, who knows? Whenever you decide to implement some new habits into your routine, and then also focus on what's really important to you.
Mm-hmm.
There's unhelpful information on social media in my opinion, whereby it's, you know, telling you what you should be feeling, what you should be doing, how you should be going about your new year, new you, and that isn't a helpful message, because it is new year, but it's the same you, just maybe a upgraded version of you in the area that you want to change or you want to evolve into. And I would also say, once you've decided what that area is, start small. You know, a 1% change every single day is a huge change by the end of the year. It compounds.
Yes. Rather than trying to do like a 60% change and then, 3 weeks in, you just think, I can't do this anymore.
Exactly.
Which has happened to me. Because burnout can be a key issue around this. And I just wonder, in the last week, have you been inundated with people, touching base with you who are thinking, it's a new year, I need some assistance here. Help me out, Olivia.
Yes. I mean, I haven't been inundated yet. I think it starts kind of now, because people are kind of coming out of their December's notoriously quite quiet in coaching, because obviously people don't really want to start anything new then. But people start inquiring now, and they have inquired, and we've spoken in November and December, and then they'll start the work in January, because that's a very kind of in tune with how people want to start their new year, which is great. And it's a great way of focusing on your goals and getting the momentum going for the year to come.
So with that in mind, another area which I think could really be an important talking point for many is the big career change. As I mentioned, burnout is a huge issue. People, want to keep succeeding in their current career. How can someone tell the difference between normal stress but then true burnout, would you say?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say normal stress is something that you, once the event is over, so potentially, whether it's work or running late or something not quite going right, but once that event is over, your body is able to recalibrate at fairly, not necessarily fast, but, it doesn't carry you for days, with you for days. I'd say burnout is when that ability to relax essentially and to regenerate is no longer available to you, and you're in a constant feeling of fight or flight, which is the stress response in our bodies. So I think if that is ongoing and you're never able to and that will have impact on lots of different habits of yours, and your sleep and your health and your eating, your concentration. So it will start taking effect in other areas of your life. But I would say that's probably the first thing to look out for.
Okay. And so what would you recommend for those people that are thinking of, let's say, new year, they really want a career change? Where should one start? What would you say is the first practical step then?
Okay. So I think if someone wanted a new job or a new career, the first thing I'd say is to get everything in order in terms of, say, your CV and, the conversations maybe with your boss that you might need to have if you're currently in a job. And then I'd say that the next step is you really need to focus on why are you changing your job or your career, or why you're applying for a new job, because that is really going to lead you to a successful outcome eventually. It's really hard to apply for a job. It's really hard to get interviews. It's really hard to go, even if you're changing horizontally, or industry, any kind of change is difficult. So you're going to be met with some rejection if you're, and if you're unlucky, it might take longer. But if you stay focused on your why, on why you're doing it, are you asking for a pay rise because you then need to, you might want to be saving. Why are you saving? You're saving for a property. Or are you looking for a job because you want the stability for a mortgage, or whatever it might be? But I think, because then you can always come back to that. You can always, that is what's going to take you through the hard times. And equally in jobs that are difficult, I was in corporate work for a long time, and in the trying times, I always focused on really why I was there and what it was that was the bigger picture. And from that bigger picture, then you break it down into smaller goals. So
what would you say, because many people will be listening, might well be dealing with major life changes. You did reference that earlier, actually, Olivia, whether it's relocation, parenthood, new promotion, whatever it may be. What's your advice for handling, that kind of discomfort without feeling like you're failing? For some people, that can come in that, idea or concept of imposter syndrome and that kicking in perhaps in the workplace. For others, it's just a general life change and there's a real discomfort. How do you kind of combat that, especially in this month where everyone's doing new things?
I would say to start with, just have, be fair on yourself, have compassion, because it's difficult to deal with any challenges, and the more I do this work, the more I am acutely aware of, everyone has something going on and it's really difficult. So I think that I would say just, be kind to yourself in whatever you're going through in that period of time, and do not compare yourselves to others. Comparison is really, really, and there's nothing positive about that. And of course, we live in a society now where we're comparing all the time.
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, you just go online, you think, oh gosh, the grass is greener.
Absolutely.
Look at us on social media.
And I think that's a really unfortunate, especially for any age group, I would say, for age groups that are struggling to get into the workforce or who are, maybe going through their own. I think it's just that, comparing is going to make you feel rubbish. So don't do it. Don't do it. Exactly.
But I think I like that. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to draw a line and just don't. It is as simple as that. But then on the other side of that coin, just finally, what if you're just listening right now and you're thinking, I know it's 2026. It's the beginning of the year. It's the 5th of January. I know I want more. I just don't know what that more is. I'm still trying to figure that out. What would you say to that person?
Well, so in that case, I would say you could either, of course, speak to a coach, speak to friends, to families, to I would say I definitely think if you don't exactly know what you're going to do, you should either be earning or learning.
Okay.
So if you're
nice,
if you don't have a job but you want a job and you're looking for one, learn anything, a skill, a new course, go online, books, read, etc. Expand your knowledge. And if you're earning, hopefully that's also okay. You can still do that until you figure out what that next step is, because then you're in a position where you'll have, and it might open that next door for you. It might just be the next thing that takes you forwards into whatever you're looking to do.
Honestly, golden nugget advice there. I mean, even the team are like, you should either be earning or learning. That needs to be the T-shirt slogan for me for 2026. Such a pleasure having you on Radio London, Olivia. You'll have to come back perhaps when it's not the new year, because I think this is kind of advice. Do you know what I mean? That we can do throughout the year as well. And people can find you on oliviavaughancoaching.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Such a pleasure. If you want to share your thoughts on what Olivia's been talking about today, 0800 731 2000 is the number. It's 2:32. Let's get an update on the roads now. Traffic and travel with Billy Reeves.
Tar very much. Only one Woolwich ferry today because of an ongoing